Hey guys, it's Wade with 365 Thermal. Today I wanted to go over a few things on how to set up for coyotes. I know a lot of beginners out there going from night to day or day to night, and I want to show you how I would set up differently for day and night in different situations. I'm going to give you a couple examples here. Let me know what you think in the comments. All right, everybody, so right behind me is about a 400-yard long field. Okay, you can see a little bit of a hay field right here at this narrow point up at the north end where I am right now. From this right here over to this side here is just over 100 yards, okay? So it's pretty narrow. If I was gonna set up on this in the night, also I'm about 60 yards away from a road right here, okay? So if I was gonna set up on this at nighttime, I would set up pretty much right where I'm at right now. And right now we're facing to the south, and I would want a south wind blowing over towards that house, okay? Very unlikely that something's gonna come from that house. I would also wanna locate this to make sure that there wasn't coyotes. Like, this is a really skinny line here. I'll show you guys on the map. I'll have a map drawing screenshotted here for you. But if coyotes are in this thick stuff right here, right off the road, if it was a really rural spot, I would want to make sure that they're not right there, right off the road. To want to set up on this at night and make sure that that south wind, that majority of the time when I locate this, that those coyotes are going to be down here on the south end, okay? Gives them some distance to travel, to want to come to you, but you're still going to be in their bubble, okay? Because like I said, this is a 400-yard long field, and giving them the distance to come all the way up these sides, more than likely they're going to come out here to the edges at least, and you'll get a shot at them before they come up to you. So say you have a crosswind or something, right? So coming out of the west, it's blowing to this right here, this skinny little hedgerow. That's not going to work out if the coyotes are over there, because that's exactly what they're going to do. The very first thing they're going to do is they're going to use that hedgerow to their advantage with the wind blowing that way and get as close to your call as they can. Like, say if your call is set right here, and they're going to get as close to that call as they can before they come out to the open. So they're going to wind you before you ever even see them. And the same thing is going to happen on this side over here, especially on this thick end. I definitely don't want to be inside that thick stuff there. So again, I'm pretty much only going to try to hunt this on a south wind coming directly down here straight over to that house. And again, with that, this is also a stipulation. If you are hunting there with a house, obviously be mindful of the people living there. Hopefully it's your farm. I'm just giving this as an example. Also, if they have some sort of like farm light, security light, whatever you want to call it, that's going to be an issue for night hunting this, because I'm going to stick out like a sore thumb against that light for anything that's on this side, okay? Say it's your farm and that's going to be an issue with you. What I would do is I would pick this side here with the short skinny end of the hedgerow, and I would sit up against that and use it just like a daytime stand. The other alternative would be to use the opposite wind and set up right here off of this point, same thing. And I would use that as a daytime stand. Now, as a daytime stand, right now, if I look right here, you can see my lovely shadow, okay? This right here, that's what makes a big difference on when I want to hunt, day or evening, for a lot of the stands that I'm going to make. If I'm going to hunt on this side with the sun over there, I want to hunt that in the evening. And opposite, I want to hunt that in the morning, because just like the sun hitting my face, there's not a shadow for me to hide in quite as easily as if it was the opposite, right? So if I'm sitting here like this, you can clearly tell that the sun is at my back. It gives a shadow for me to hide in more in this stuff than if I was over there in the sun with it coming right in on me, okay? So I hope that makes sense. I'm gonna show you guys over here. I'm gonna show you as if I was gonna set up during the day on both of these sides and show you what that would look like. So not a lot of cover available right here. As you can see, it's very thick, but I would at least want to get into something like this, a little bit into the grass. I do have this small sapling right here in front of me, and I can make this work. I would clear out just a little spot, try not to be too loud. And with the thick stuff over here to my right, I would not want my wind blowing into that. I would want it blowing into the open, either a crosswind like this or a wind in my face like I said previously. And I'll show you what this looks like from the actual setup. All right, guys, I know it was probably a little difficult to see just how tall this stuff was and a little bit of the depth in that other video of me standing in here. But I do have this little bit of cover above my head. Most of these weeds are about waist to knee high, so nothing too tall, nothing too crazy, but you could definitely tuck in here and make it work, especially if you make that sun work for you or on a dull day with a little bit of camouflage and no movement. So you do want to make sure that you can shoot these edges, if at all possible, whenever you set up, because a lot of the times, especially during the day, they'll come to those edges and try to see where the sound's coming from, and they'll hang up right there. It gives you a great shot opportunity. There's also a little bit of a rise right here between these two patches of timber, and that's going to be, I can't say difficult for you because you can see for about 150 yards there. However, same thing with that, they may skirt one side or the other and you may not be able to see them on that other side of the rise, so they might pop out a little bit closer to you. Just something to be mindful of. Of course, your situation is going to be different, but I just want to be a little bit more technical on everything in this specific spot. Wouldn't be a bad setup. I would not want my wind blowing directly into this stuff here. Like I said, I would want it in my face or blowing over my shoulder here out into this open area, almost like a good crosswind into that roadway, okay? So more than likely, if I set my call out here somewhere, maybe even in the middle, even if they were gonna try to get downwind of me over here, most of the time they're gonna pop out downwind of where I put the call, so a little bit more this way where my wind would be blowing more like that, if that makes sense. I wouldn't want something blowing directly over there in majority of the situations. So that's in a perfect world, that's how I'd hunt it. All right, so I found a nice little cove right here thanks to this cedar tree. It's set up on the opposite side, so I'm against that skinny little hedgerow. I mean, it's only about maybe maybe three trees thick right here. You can see through it for the most part. At night, you're not going to be able to see through this very well. It is very dark, and you also would not be able to shoot through this, okay? So that's something to be mindful of. So I'm not going to want my wind blowing behind me. I'm going to want it blowing out either straight across where it's out here in the open, and I'm expecting them again from down here to the south, or blowing up towards the road towards that house, okay? You don't want your wind blowing back into here as much as you might think, because what'll happen is the coyotes will come straight down this hedgerow or from the next timber over, and they'll come straight in, they'll wind you, and you'll never even see them. So something to keep in mind, always want to be able to see or shoot your downwind or have something blocking it. Similar to deer hunting, but you got to think a lot further of a distance, okay? These coyotes, if they're going to hit your wind, they're just going to take off and you won't ever see them. So something to think about. And I'll show you guys what it looks like from in here. All right, guys, so this is what it looks like from in here. Again, I have a little bit of front cover from that side. Still definitely able to shoot through this pretty easily. I could see all the way to the road right there. Again, I would want my wind blowing pretty much right over there, as long as nothing that I located is hanging out over there in that thick timber. Or I would want it blowing down here, straight down this hedgerow towards the road there, okay? I would not want it blowing out over here where I would anticipate the coyotes to be, coming out of these thick patches over here, okay? And that's gonna be the bigger timber. Or blowing back into this hedgerow without me being able to see it and shoot it, because a lot of times they'll come right down the edge of that hedgerow because it is the downwind side. They'll use that to their advantage, just like they would if they're hunting any prey, of course, and they'll try to get the wind before they even come out on this side. So you won't be able to see them if they do. Something to keep in mind. Again, that's how I would set up here. This is not a place that I would consider to be 100% ideal for night hunting, but you could make it work. Given the fact that that house probably did not have a security light or any other disturbance, I would not be great. But if it was your farm and you could control some of those factors, that would be different. So let me know what you guys think. Thanks for following along. Hopefully this helped you all out. If there's something you're curious, want to know about, have any questions or comments, please let me know in the comments on this video. Thank you.